You know, we've already come up with Yacht Thompson. Are we agreeing on that?
Yacht Thompson.
I love Yacht Thompson.
I love it.
Who came up with that? Was that Khaki Kev, or did you come up with that? You came up with that?
I did.
Yacht Thompson. You know, we scoffed at that at first.
You scoffed hard.
I did. I'm not going to lie.
Don't love it.
But.
That was my Fred impression. Don't love it, but we'll keep going. And then yours was like a Lake Louisville spinoff. You were like Lake Thompson, I think was yours. I
don't remember saying that.
We can play the audio back.
We might have to.
You remember saying Lake Thompson?
I do remember saying Lake Thompson, but it wasn't like I was, was like I was pretty. I didn't think I was proud of that name.
You were. You said Lake Thompson. That was a good one.
No, because I feel like when I said, you even said you kind of liked it.
There was a bunch we liked.
We did.
It was pretty much the whole segment.
The Tolos went nuts. We got to give. So are we going to stick with Yacht Thompson?
Personally, for me, I am. You can stick with whatever you want.
I'm going to go. No, we need it. No, it needs to be. We need to be unanimous. Absolutely. We can't be calling them different names.
I'm going. They call him Killer Klay at the arena. I heard that.
I don't know.
I like Yacht Thompson. It's
Yacht Thompson is 10 times better than Killer Klay. Whatever, dude. Yacht Thompson is 10 times better. All right. So are we officially naming him Yacht Thompson on the Fan After Dark?
I think we are, because
I'm with you on that.
The way that he has started the season on the Mavs has been he's just looked so comfortable out there for playing a whole franchise with only one team, playing your whole career with them, being with a superstar in Steph Curry, having a whole offense system, living in the Bay, and then having to move, and after 13 years, boom, you're in a whole different place with Luka, who is quite different than any other player in the NBA. There's not like a replica of like, I played with someone very similar.
No.
Even Steph Curry, they're completely different players. They both can score really well, pass really well, but completely different. The stats that he has put up to start the season, I think have shown you how comfortable he's been. You see it with your eyeballs when they're going up and down the court. Klay Thompson is 7th in the league at 3-point attempts. He's shooting 10 a game.
Yeah.
The person right above him is his teammate Luka, shooting 10.2.
Right.
Luka shooting 26% from three. Klay Thompson 42% from three. Now, he only had 7 points the other night, but if you watch the game,
okay though.
If he only had 7 shots. First shot came with like 4 minutes left in the first quarter. Had some big shots as well. Both of his makes were threes, and he had that free throw as well. If you watch the game, he looks very comfortable not getting the ball. And that's like little things that I'm watching. Like, what does he do when he doesn't get it? Is he pouting? We saw that in Golden State. When he didn't get the ball, when different stats, like, I should be shooting this. He is in a spot where he is the third option.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he loves it. I'm sure he would want to score more. And he's been averaging 20 points for you, about 4 or 5 rebounds, a couple assists, shooting over 40% from three, which is great. But in a game where you're playing a high-level opponent, in the Timberwolves, he was okay with playing a role, and they still were able to win the game. He was playing defense. You saw him late in the game guarding Anthony Edwards at half court. You saw him fighting through screens. I don't think he's going to make All-NBA this season. And I don't think he's even going to be Derrick Jones Jr. But if he can be some semblance of Klay. I don't think he's going to be some all-world defender. You don't need him to be, because your offense got that much better. I truly think outside of the Boston Celtics, this is the best offense in the league. They can score at will because you have two of the best creators in Kyrie and Luka. And if you watch that Timberwolves game, they put them in so many awkward situations defensively.
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert couldn't play in the fourth. They'd have Julius Randle playing the center position because they were trying to get Nickeil Alexander-Walker out there, McDaniels, like different guard versatility because all these screens are happening.
Okay.
And you can't have Rudy Gobert getting caught in screens. We saw that in the Western Conference Finals. What happened? Luka is just going to screen hunt, pull up Rudy Gobert, dance with him a little bit, knock down the shot.
Right.
So you let's take him out of the game. Let's have Julius Randle in. Well, this is how good and well-rounded this Dallas Mavericks team is, because when the Timberwolves did that, thinking they'd be at an advantage or create less of a disadvantage, if you will, Derek Lively was just getting every offensive rebound.
Yeah.
So Klay misses, Luka misses, Kyrie misses, PJ misses. It didn't matter. They were getting second, third chance opportunities. So I think the real reason they won that game was Derek Lively and PJ Washington creating second chance opportunities. And then the defense from Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall, who had either 0 points or 2 points, didn't have a lot, contributed so much on the defensive end. You even saw it. He had like the game-winning steal kind of where he got in front of Anthony Edwards and he kind of dribbled off of him. Spencer Dinwiddie had some big minutes off the bench, who I think has kind of had probably one of the worst preseasons you could have seen. But now that real basketball started, he has gotten into his groove of that spot-up shooter, has had some good drives as well, setting up the offense. I think you're seeing that this is a very complete team that's going to be making its way back to the NBA Finals, and at worst, the Western Conference Finals. I think what you saw last night was that the floor of this team is the Western Conference Finals. Because Luka can't make a shot if he threw it into the water right now, and they still put up 120 and beat one of the best teams in the Western Conference.
Yeah, no, you're right about that. Luka's not shooting the ball particularly well right now. I mean, yeah, he went what? I mean,
1 of 8 from 3.
The highlight was him, knocking down that 35-foot three,
that was just
which is just insane. Of course, and that's cool for the highlights, but that was the only 3 he made out of 8 attempts last night. So, 10 of 27 from the field. Like you said, he's not shooting the ball great right now. I'm not, and this is the difference in this team right now. This is what is so different about this Mavericks team this year versus in years past is that you relied so much on Luka to do the heavy lifting. And again, Luka's going to do that because that's just the kind of guy he is. But you've got so much more depth now. You've got so many guys that can pick up the slack.
Quentin Grimes had a couple big shots.
Quentin Grimes had some big shots last night. You got 17 from P.J. Washington last night. And the thing I think about P.J. Washington, and the thing about this basketball team as a whole, but P.J. Washington's a guy that, and you guys know I'm huge on Derek Lively. I think he's the X factor again, it's not going to be he's the difference in how far this team goes, but he's going to be a huge factor moving forward. But P.J. Washington, I'm not going to say we've overlooked him, but this is the first meaningful start to a season in his professional career.
He knew training in the offseason, we're trying to make the NBA Finals.
Well, not just that. I mean, he knew that, right? I don't doubt that one bit. But think about this. The last, what is he in, his 5th year in the league?
Around there, yeah.
Give or take, 4th or 5th season. First 3 seasons, he was with the Charlotte Hornets. Yep. What are you getting excited about in Charlotte?
The jerseys.
Right? I mean, seriously, what were you?
Maybe a highlight with LaMelo?
You go into that season, you're just hoping maybe we might be good enough to sneak into the play-in. And that's the ceiling for you when you're a Hornet. You're playing meaningful basketball, and there's something to be said for, as a professional athlete, having something to play for. Okay, no. We can legit, and you and I talked about this last week, Blake, the difference in covering the Mavericks versus covering the Cowboys. Mm-hmm. Where with the Cowboys, it's just drama after drama, and we're sitting here trying to find storylines for a crap football team. And unlike one owner who, every week gives us a different excuse on how good this team is and why he's not going to do anything. And then on the flip side of that, go down the street and you got Nico Harrison who is playing mad scientist over here.
Nico Harrison, they'll be winning games and he's like, how can I make this team
He'll
better?
still tweak the roster.
He's like, I don't know, that 17th guy, that 13th guy on the bench isn't helping us. How can I make that? And that's what I love. Nico is aggressive. He's the kind of owner the kind of GM you want that's always trying to tweak your basketball team. And he made a great move when he traded Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, and some picks to go get a guy named Kyrie Irving, who was the difference maker last night. Luka, slow shooting night, doesn't really have to go in anything. Anthony Edwards, for those of you who don't know, 24 points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Could not miss. Was quite literally for you.
It's a career high for him, wasn't it?
In the first quarter, yeah. For you Tolos who weren't able to watch the game, Anthony Edwards was just sprinting down the field, sprinting down the court, pulling it out from 3 and just shooting it. Was no passes, was no second guessing, was just shooting it like he was an open gym. 24 points. I think at one point he had 7 straight made shots. He was unconscious. But Kyrie Irving in the third quarter, 16 points, ends up with 35 for the game, 6 of 8 from downtown. And most of those came in the second half. Mm-hmm. To me, we know how skilled he is, and we know how he can score at any clip. We know that. But he's almost become underrated at this point because we talk about Luka.
Who, Kyrie?
Yeah. We talk about Luka. We talk about the importance of Klay. We talk about Derek Lively and Gafford rolling. People forget you have an all-world scorer that can put up 40 if he really wants to, and Kyrie Irving. And we saw that when he flips the switch, he is so aware of what's going on in the court. He goes, my guy Luka's limping. He's not shooting that well. Klay hasn't really gotten to his groove yet. I have to score. Anthony Edwards is coming for blood. This game is going to get out of hand quick. And he flipped the switch in that third quarter and took over. He even kind of flipped in the second quarter. And I just love seeing that from Kyrie. Whether they won or lost that game, they ended up winning.
Let me ask you something. Do you think, and I don't disagree with you, basketball fans know Kyrie's not underrated, but I know where you're coming from. Do you think that Boston series people soured on Kyrie, just for the simple fact that, we're used to seeing him play at a certain level. And I think, to me, it was the mental aspect that I was most taken aback by.
I didn't see anything that was like, man, he doesn't know how to shoot anymore or dribble or defend. It really was the mental aspect.
Just wasn't good.
And that's why in those press conferences I was kind of asking him, where's your head at? We know that in an open gym he can go drop off Jason Tatum and Jalen. We know that. We've seen that. It was more the fans and the environment and the stage. And so that part of it, like I think if he's in that situation next year versus the 76ers.
You mean this season? Oh, you're talking about next year?
Next year, like literally 2025.
Literally.
That he could have 30 points a game and we wouldn't scoff. Like we know he can do it. It's just situationally.
We don't need him to do it, right?
We don't need him to do it, and he's so used to having to be that guy, and now we're kind of seeing the gas get taken off. And then when Luka's had to step out of the game because of injury, he's like, okay, I literally have to be the guy.
And he was.
And as a Mavs fan, you have to go to sleep with comfort at night knowing that you have two guys at any point they could turn a switch on and take over a game, not just like keep you in a game.
Would you say 2.5?
2.5, yeah. I would say Klay.
Klay could take. Hey, look.
Klay can take over, but it's just I don't know if he could do it by himself. Like if Kyrie and Luka weren't on the court, you're not going to see Klay do what Anthony Edwards did, dribble up the court and just start shooting. He would still need someone to kind of get him to a spot.
I think he's got a game like that left in him. He's got a few of those left in him.
He's got a game where Luka could be passing the ball. I'm saying if Luka and Kyrie both were hurt and it was literally just Klay, no, I don't think he's dropping 30. I think if we saw it in the preseason. I don't think he's dropping 30. Now, if those guys are out there, I think he could drop 40 with those guys passing him the ball and getting them in spots, getting them in the open shots he gets. But if they weren't, I think he still needs a facilitator. And I'm not looking at Jaden Hardy or Spencer Dinwiddie to get him in a 40 ball. But I do think right now, Mavs fans, if you take nothing else from this conversation, this is the most well-rounded I've seen this roster.
Yeah.
They did not play great yesterday, and they still put up 120 and beat a very good Timberwolves team.
Yeah, they did.
Luka could not hit a shot. Klay had 7 points. And you have a walking 20, 15, and 2 blocks from your centers. Luka and Kyrie can turn it on at any time. Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall, Quentin Grimes, all those guys want to defend. Like, you're getting contributions from your 7th, 8th, 9th man on the bench. NBA, the Denver Nuggets can't even get contribution from their 6th man.
This team goes a legit 10 deep. That's the thing about this team that I think.
With Maxey hurt and with Omax still kind of on that cusp of could he get in the rotation?
Well, that's what
Exum hurt.
And look, that's what Jaden Hardy playing 4 minutes last night. Okay, that's what Jaden Hardy.
Spencer Dinwiddie definitely kind of strangleholded those minutes the last 2 games.
He absolutely has. And then of course my boy Derek Lively, he had 9 rebounds last night.
Big 9 too.
Huge 9, and should have had a 10th rebound, but the ball got called off. It would have been an assist, a little thing he threw to Klay in the corner, but it got called. I can't remember what it was. Was it a foul, loose ball, or foul, or something like that?
It was already in Klay's hand. He's like, why are you calling that?
I'm telling you, that was such a junk call.
Wide open 32.
Come on, and he nailed it in the corner too.